Hey guys, it's Katie. I told you that today I would make some large batches of things and show you how to do that so that you can plan ahead for your HCG. And I procrastinated all day and it's almost 6 o'clock. So here we go. I might be cooking all night, but either way I won't have to be cooking the whole time on HCG. So what I'm going to make is some chicken stock, some chili, or actually really a chili base that I can add chicken or beef to later. And I'm going to make some tomato sauce that I can either turn into chicken and tomato soup or any other like tomato sauce based recipes. Chicken cacciatore or spaghetti and meatballs, spaghetti and meatballs, or whatever dishes that are kind of Italian like. So I figured if I get a head start on all of these at the same time, then I only have to buy the ingredients that one time, and the herbs and spices and ingredients kind of overlap with these, so I like being able to use all of what I buy, because my biggest problem was I would buy all these herbs and stuff and then some of them would go bad by the time I could use them, because you can only make tiny portions of things, and anyway, it was just a lot of headaches. So that's why I've decided to do some large bulk things. So hopefully this demonstration helps you guys out. Right now I've got some onions started for a chicken stock. I'm going to sweat the onions to give them some time to release some natural sugars in them. Now they're not going to be sugars that are bad for you on HCG because they're just naturally in the onion. So I'm just going to let them kind of hang out for a little while and get hot and sweaty, and they're really only on level 2 on my burner. Really low heat. I don't want to get any color on them because there's literally nothing else in the pan. There's no oil. I decided that even though I do use coconut oil in the diet, I'm not going to use coconut oil in these recipes because I want to be able to use the coconut oil in other places during my diet, whether it's chocolate delight or whatever, and you don't want to get too much of the coconut oil in your diet, just enough. So, but I've just got some onions that are started. It's 4 red onions that I sliced, and then 4 yellow onions that I've sliced because I like the flavor of both of them. So kind of like you would start a French onion soup and let the onions hang out for like 45 minutes, we're going to do that here. So 45 minutes to an hour, I'll come back and take a look at my onions and start adding the rest of my chicken stock. Yes, it's going to take a long time to make these recipes just because they've got to sit on the stove for a long time. But you don't have to be right up there with it, and the payoff for the amount of flavor and the quality you get from it, you're going to be so much happier when you're dieting if you can taste something that tastes like real food. And a lot of times in restaurants, yes, they do use salt, butter, sugar, cream, and all that other kind of yummy stuff, but they also do things that take a lot of time, and that's the kind of stuff that you don't want to do at your regular house, and so that's why it tastes so good there. So if you spend the time on it now, you won't have to spend the time on it later, and you'll be really happy when you come home to soup. So yeah, I'm going to let that hang out for a little while, just by itself, just onions. Haven't added any salt yet. I will add salt to it, but when you add salt to your onions, they leach out all of their water. When you add salt to anything, it leaches all the water out, and so that's kind of why you need to watch your sodium counts and everything. But salt does give food flavor, and so even though I'm on HCG and I'm changing the way I'm eating, I'm never going to take salt completely out of the diet. So I'm going to add some to make sure that it tastes great, but not enough that it'll hurt me in the end. So my chicken stock's going to go to the back to hang out for a while. Remember, I'm going to keep it on like about a 2 or a 3 on the back, and every once in a while I'm just going to stir it, and I'm probably going to set my timer for about 45 minutes. My next pot that I'm going to start is going to be my chili. Everything starts with onions, so I'm going to put the pan on like a 2, and I'm going to put in the onions. I think I'm going to do 3 red onions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to record how many I use and then count up the calories later. So for my chili that I'm going to get started, I have 4 red onions that I chopped with my little mini food processor. Yes, I know how to dice onions, but I had to do 4 of them, and I have like 5 more onions to go so far for the entire day. So I just decided to make it easy on myself and use the food processor. So these are chopped, and I'm going to let these hang out for a little while, and just like with the chicken stock, I'm going to let them develop some flavor. Then I'm going to add some salt and start adding some of the rest of my ingredients for the chili. So we have 3 pots going, and this one in the back is my chicken stock that started. Can you see a theme? All 3 pots have onions in them. This pot has sliced red and white onions for my chicken stock. This pot is for my chili, and I just minced these red onions in a food processor. I did 4 red onions in this pot. It's going to make it a lot of chili. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's going to make a lot of chili. And then in this pot is for my tomato sauce, and I did 1 red onion and 1 white onion. So right now this is kind of a similar thing. We're going to let the onions hang out and develop all their flavor, and then I will show you the next part. Oh, by the way, all of these pots are just sitting here without any oil, without any salt yet. I'm just going to let them start sweating out their own juices, and then I'm going to add some salt to them. But I'm not going to add any oil to any of these recipes. As long as you go slow enough and make sure that the heat is low enough, you won't need any oil because it won't burn. If it does seem like it's a little dry on the bottom, put in some purified water, and it'll give a little extra moisture to the bottom. Since today is all about using the best no-calorie ingredient, which is thyme, like literally T-I-M-E, one thing that takes a little bit of time but adds a whole lot of flavor is roasting garlic. And in the last round of P2, in my last round of P2, I roasted some garlic that I used in other sauces, but I roasted it just without any oil because I didn't know about the wonders of coconut oil yet. And so I'm cutting these garlic cloves in half so that we can roast them, and this time I am going to use coconut oil. So now that I've cut them in half, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of foil and create kind of like a little nest for it, and make sure that the sides go up high enough so that nothing leaches out. Just kind of mash it around. So see, it'll kind of stand up that way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub a little bit of coconut oil on the top of each garlic clove. And I guess I could melt it so that I could just pour it, but I'm just going to rub it kind of like if it were butter. I really wish that at the beginning of P2 I had known about coconut oil, and I've said this a couple of times, but I can't believe that I never learned about coconut oil really in culinary school. It's just a really wonderful product, and I kind of feel dripped that it's taken me this long to find it. Today I actually watched a DVD, or not a DVD, a YouTube video of Hebby Dobby's, her reading that thing about the MCT and the coconut oil, and I'm really glad that I did, because it really kind of helped solidify what I already knew, that, you know, coconut oil is really good for you. Right now I'm just topping the garlic with some cracked pepper and flake sea salt. This is Murray River pink sea salt from Australia. Murray River is a saltwater river that's right by the ocean, so that's why it's still a sea salt. It's just from Murray River in Australia. So now I'm going to put these, I'm going to do the rest of my other little garlic bulbs, and then I'm going to put them in a 325 degree oven and let them roast until they're nice and brown and they're all soft on the inside. And I don't really know how long it's going to take, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it while I'm cooking the rest of my other things tonight. We're about 20 minutes in cooking our onions for all 3 dishes, but I'm going to start adding some salt to the pans in the front, which are our chili and our tomato sauce, because I want to get those go ahead and going. I want to develop a little bit more flavor on the onions for the chicken stock. I'm going to wait till it hits 45 minutes. And then at that point I'm going to add the salt and start adding the rest of the celery for the chicken stock. I just added a little bit of salt. I'll add salt to each layer, and so I just add a little bit at a time, just so that each ingredient gets kissed with just a touch of salt. And then at the end, I'm going to check for seasonings again. I've chopped 2 hearts of organic celery, and I'm going to add about half of it to the chili, and I'm going to add the other half of it to the tomato sauce. So now my onions have been going in my chicken stock pot for about 45 minutes. And I am going to chop up 2 organic hearts of celery and put them into the chicken stock pot. When you make chicken stock normally, you would put in 50% onions and 25% celery and 25% carrots. On HCG, you can't use the carrots. I know, how sad. They're delicious, but we're going to put the 2 hearts of celery into my big pot. And then I'm going to get all of my chicken ready to go in, because usually when you make chicken stock, you just use chicken bones. Or you can use a whole chicken if you really want to. And the bones and the fat give the chicken stock a lot of flavor. But since we can't do that on HCG, we're going to do the next best thing and just poach the chicken that we're going to use in the chili and the soup in their individual portions in the chicken stock. So after the celery has been in for about 5 minutes, I'll go ahead and season it up again and add my chicken portions. The onions and celery are cooking away, and I've been stirring them a bit to move them around so that nothing burns. And when I added the salt, all the liquid from the onions and the celery has started to cook out, and so there's enough moisture in the pot so that it's not burning. I don't know if you could see in the background my big bowls of tomatoes that I got. I think I got 40 tomatoes total for these, so I'm going to put half of them in the chili, and I'm going to put half of them in my tomato soup, and I'm just going to quarter them. I'm actually going to use a potato masher later to mash them up, so I'm really just going to quarter them. It's going to be really easy.